What's up, what's up, what's up, y'all? How are we doing? How are we doing? If you are a New England Patriots fan, I'm sorry for you guys. It's just that Seattle Seahawk defense was just too much for Drake May to handle. I think Drake May is going to be solid in the future. Uh, Seahawk fans, congratulations on this win. Shout out Sam Darnold. Shout out my guy Cooper Kupp. Shout out JSN, who is the best receiver in the NFL, and all that other stuff. And if y'all didn't enjoy that Bad Bunny halftime show performance, get a life. It ain't the best because of what Kendrick was able to do last year and what he did in 2022 with Snoop and Dr. Dre and 50 Cent. But still, that Bad Bunny show was pretty good. Okay, enough about that. I ain't gonna talk about football today. Let's evaluate how James Harden is looking with the Cavaliers so far within his first two games. If y'all do not know, let me put y'all up to speed. The Cavaliers are 2-0 since James arrived in Cleveland, and per StatMuse, the Cavs are averaging 125.5 points within those two games. Obviously, they scored 132 against the Sacramento Kings and 119 against the Denver Nuggets. Again, they won both those games. There are a couple takeaways from those two games that I watched about James Harden and the Cavaliers and how much better their offense looks. And this is not a knock on Darius Garland because I thought he was a really good pairing with Donovan Mitchell. But I feel like if you look at the Cavaliers offense with Darius Garland the last 3-4-ish years, so dating back to 2022-23 when Donovan first touched down in Cleveland and then what James Harden was able to do in two games, there is a noticeable difference. And a couple takeaways that I do have is that James creates so much mismatches from his orchestration of the pick and roll, which obviously he's been great at doing that his whole career, dating back to Houston. Again, he's always ran pick and rolls with guys like Clint Capella. In Brooklyn, he ran pick and rolls with guys like Nico Claxton and Blake Griffin. And then in Philadelphia, obviously Joel Embiid. And then the last couple of years with the Clippers when he had Ivica Zubac as his big. You know what I'm saying? So the fact James creates so much mismatches on the perimeter, not only it opens up lanes for guys like Donovan and the two bigs, Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, it takes so much offensive load off of Mitchell as well. You know what I mean? And then another thing is that I know for a fact James Harden will be more durable than Darius Garland. The issue with Garland the last couple of years, especially last playoffs when he was injured versus the Indiana Pacers, he was never healthy, or he struggled to stay healthy, if that makes sense. And even this year, he hasn't really stayed healthy. And you could tell that toe injury still bothered him dating back to last year's playoffs. And even when he was playing, it was just like he didn't really look all that great. Hopefully that changes with the Clippers. But with this particular Cleveland team, especially with this offense, I think James runs this offense a lot better than what Garland was able to do, because of the fact, well, James Harden is taller and bigger than Garland. Garland is like, what, 6'1", I want to guess 190. James is like 6'4", 6'5", a good 220, 225-ish pounds, if that makes sense. So because of that, I think the offense flows a lot better. Or I think, let me draw that back. I think he runs this offense a lot better than Darius Garland, in my personal opinion. So I want to try something relatively new, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to looking at how James Harden is orchestrating the Cavs offense. And this could give me an idea or a preview, whatever the heck you want to call it, of what I could do for this upcoming series recap season for the playoffs, where I can just go through the film and show y'all some of the plays that, I think went wrong or right or whatever the heck, however the heck you say it, man. So let's just look through the footage and see how James looks with this Cleveland team. NBA, please don't sue me for this. Here's a simple ball screen initiated by James Harden. So I think the Sacramento Kings are not only playing drop, but you see Neek Clifford, who is getting screened by Jarrett Allen, just clanking into the screen, which either way, everything's going wrong for Sacramento on this play. But that's the type of player James is. Or if that's their way of hedging, that is a pretty terrible job at hedging the ball screen. But if Sacramento was smart, they would ice this ball screen. Why? Number 24 on the Kings, I think it's Daquan Plowden, who's guarding Jalen Tyson, staying next to the big white dude guarding Jarrett Allen. I think that's Maxime Reynaud. Number 24 on the Kings, Plowden, he has enough time to stunt and recover, and he'll be right there in backside help on Jarrett Allen's roll. But Sacramento decides to switch for some reason. James reads this, and Jarrett Allen gets a wide open dunk. James Harden on this play reads that Russell Westbrook's trying to go underneath the screen. Problem here is that Russ ends up locking and trailing. James knew this and acknowledged that it was going to collapse the entire defense. And here's the thing about James Harden too. Apparently he's number 6 in the league in gravity, meaning that he attracts so much attention, especially off those ball screens. And because of the fact Russ ends up blocking and trailing, he gets beat off the dribble. Maxime Raynon is caught in no man's land, and it causes Nick Clifford to help off at Donovan Mitchell. Pass gets made to the corner. Donovan Mitchell hits the open three. So on this play, James Harden gets a screen at half court set by Jarrett Allen. And already everything's going wrong for the Kings. And this is how good James is at manipulating defenses off the pick and roll. For some reason, the center for the Sacramento Kings keeps on backing up for whatever reason. Devin Carter, for some reason, doesn't cut off his dribble. And now you have 3 defenders, and possibly 4 if you count Russ in the corner, collapsing. And because of that, James Harden has so many options. He could either get Jarrett Allen the ball in the dunker spot. Craig Porter Jr. is open for a 3. Naquan Tomlin's open in the corner. James Harden gets the layup. So let's observe this play from this Kings-Nuggets game. Off the inbound, they're already a switch-heavy defense. Off the inbound already, Bruce Brown switches off at James Harden, which gets Jalen Pickett on him. And now Jarrett Allen sets the screen to create that mismatch and have Jonas Valanciunas essentially be on no man's land. And because Jonas Valanciunas is dropping back way too far, Cam Johnson has to help off at Jalen Tyson. And the problem here is that Cam steps in way too far. Jalen Tyson's open for the 3. So there you have some film on what James Harden in the Cavaliers offense looks like. Again, they look a lot better with him attacking in the pick and rolls. I'm not saying Darius Garland didn't do a good job, but the problem with Garland is that his size kind of limited him on making those types of plays. Darius Garland wasn't making these type of plays consistently enough with Cleveland, and obviously it didn't help that he was hurt all the time too. My only question here is, will this James Harden-Donovan Mitchell duo last long in the playoffs? Because we obviously know James's shortcomings as well as we know Donovan's shortcomings, obviously for 2 different reasons. James Harden was never able to get done in the playoffs. The closest he's ever been to an NBA Finals was Game 7 in 2018 when he was with the Houston Rockets. When they were facing the Golden State Warriors, obviously they were without Chris Paul back then. And then Donovan Mitchell has never been to a conference finals at all in his career. And again, with how Cleveland flamed out in the second round of the playoffs against Indiana last year, it kind of raises a lot of questions. Again, I'm not blaming it all on Donovan because he rises in the playoffs. He is a playoff riser, at least when it comes to scoring. And I genuinely do feel like with Harden coming to Cleveland, the dynamics in the East change a lot. Because like I said in my video talking about the James Harden trade, James Harden gives the Cavaliers at least 10 to 15 more wins. And if the trade didn't go down, Cleveland would have at least won 45 to 50 games, which is not bad in the East, but it is a far cry from what they were last year when they won 64 games. Again, that's with just Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, who has been in and out of the lineup dating back to last year's playoffs, like I said. And in that same breath, that's if they kept DeAndre Hunter. And think about it, y'all. All this time we're talking about, okay, the Pistons are really good, which they are. The Celtics are really good without Jason Tatum, which they are. The New York Knicks, even though they lost against the Indiana Pacers just now, they're pretty good, which they are. But now you have Cleveland in the mix, who were struggling for a decent amount of the season, right? And then you add a guy like James Harden, who's taking so much offensive load off of Donovan Mitchell, which is huge, which, if y'all think about it, Donovan has really never had that consistent second star to help take off an offensive load off of him. You go back to the Utah days. His second best player was either Mike Conley or Rudy Gobert. Obviously, that only took him as far as it did, which is a Game 6 in the second round against the Clippers. Early on, it was Darius Garland, which at the time it was pretty good. But if you saw what happened when Donovan got hurt in the 2024 playoffs against Boston, Cleveland struggled to generate offense because their offense was basically Donovan Mitchell or bust. And when Donovan was out of the lineup, and I believe games 4 and 5 of that series, if I'm not mistaken, I think he sat out game 3, or I think he played game 3, I'm not 100% sure. I'm about to run that tape back. They had to rely on Darius Garland and Karis LeVert, who bounced around from Atlanta, and now he's with Detroit. And now with the emerging play of a guy like Jalen Tyson and the offensive brilliance that Harden puts on night in and night out, the Cavaliers have a shot to win the East now. Now, I am aware these same things were said when James Harden teamed up with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant in Brooklyn, and the same things were said when he teamed up with Joel Embiid on this Philadelphia 76ers. And of course, when he teamed up with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and Russell Westbrook and the Clippers. Obviously, those things ended up being not true, with James Harden being outed in a Game 7, one versus Milwaukee, the other versus Boston, and he also got outed in a Game 6 versus Dallas in the 2024 playoffs in the first round, and then he got outed in the first round again by the Denver Nuggets when it was just him, Kawhi, and Norman Powell. But let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. What are y'all first impressions about James Harden on the Cavaliers? Do y'all think James Harden and Donovan Mitchell have the potential to be an elite duo, especially in the East? And lastly, how far do y'all think the Mitchell-Harden pairing is going to go in the Eastern Conference playoffs? Do you guys think it'll be a second-round exit, a conference finals exit, or could they potentially clinch an NBA Finals berth? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. More videos coming soon. I kind of had fun making this kind of mini film breakdown. Let me know if you guys want more of this. And yeah, more videos on the way soon. But until then, that's the end of this video. I'm X. Deuces.